Back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinn. Time right now is 1:38 Eastern, 10:38 Pacific, and we continue to take a closer look at all of the major headlines. This is a live look right here of Washington, D.C. This, as we do want to share this video with you. This is some scene video from Friday as the FBI raided the home and office of former National Security Advisor John Bolton. The reason behind the raids was reportedly linked to a probe of allegations that Bolton sent classified documents to his family from a private email server while working at the White House. That is according to the New York Post. The Post cited a Trump administration official who said FBI Director Kash Patel ordered the raid. The outlet also reported that yet to be unsealed search warrants reference a controversy over Bolton's memoir to establish a pattern of behavior. However, a senior U.S. official told the Post the probe was a, quote, clean break from the investigation regarding Bolton's book. Bolton, who served in Trump's first administration, has not been arrested or taken into custody. The president revoked his security clearance and Secret Service detail back in January. Now, during Trump's first administration, a probe into classified documents was launched, but later shut down by the Biden administration. The Justice Department argued that Bolton's 2020 memoir, The Room Where It Happened, contained classified material and attempted to block it from being published. To speak more on this, I do want to bring in Miguel Clarke, who is a former FBI special agent. And Miguel, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Well, good. Well, it's morning here, so good morning to you.
We're across all of the time zones, so depending on where you are, it is morning. I did want to start with the actual process of obtaining a search warrant for a raid such as the one that we saw the FBI do at John Bolton's home and office. You know, what is the process, the steps necessary to obtain such a search warrant?
The first thing that you're going to need to do is try to get all the facts of the case together. And you review all those facts, determine which one of those facts are most needed for probable cause, to establish probable cause. And then you'll present that to United States Attorney, who will kind of look over your affidavit. And then you'll take that affidavit to a district judge or to a magistrate judge that resides in the area where you're trying to execute the search warrant. That judge signs off on it and then orders you, the FBI or whatever federal organization you work for, they order you to go and to conduct a search warrant.
So there is the report from the New York Post saying that the raid was linked to classified documents. You know, when it comes to, the evidence that they are searching for, I would imagine it would be computer servers and the like that might have such documents on them, or actually physical documents as well.
It's probably going to be a combination of both of those things. You think about the role of the National Security Advisor and how often he or she is going to work outside of the White House. That person needs to be available probably 24 hours a day in order to determine, somebody needs to contact that individual for action, a policy action, or impressions before taking a policy action. And so when you start to think about that, then, they're routinely handling classified information. They're routinely also using their computer, probably making written notes and have things that might be derivative from that. So yes, that is something that they're always going to be dealing with. And then when they leave that position, then I think there's going to be some type of a negotiation to make sure that all of the classified materials are returned. But you did point out something earlier in this interview that the security clearance was revoked in either January or February. So that's going to change a little bit as to whether or not he was even able to continue to possess those documents.
So how does the FBI determine the severity of a breach, should there have been one, when it comes to classified documents?
The FBI does not determine the severity of the breach. I mean, that's something where there's going to be some type of a classified review that's going to take place. In the United States government, there's something like 1,500-ish original classifying authorities. It's less than 0.05% of the 3 million person workforce for the government. And those individuals make the original decision as to what information is going to be classified and how it's going to be classified. They'll have guidelines for doing that. And usually it's to protect some type of source and or method.
So you were mentioning, the security clearance, it was revoked earlier this year. When it comes
Yes.
to high level government officials, though, one has to imagine there are, a number, quite a large number that have access to classified information. Once
Yes.
they leave office, do they have to touch base with the FBI? How does that process work when they leave office to ensure that some of their security clearances or the classified documents that they are able to access to, that's not taken advantage of, or it
Right.
doesn't fall through the cracks?
So there is an administrative process which handles almost all of this. So there'll be, I think, negotiations. There's going to be attorneys that are going to be involved. They will ensure that all the materials are returned. I would imagine that somebody like the National Security Advisor will have some type of a sensitive, compartmentalized information facility placed into his or her home so that they can work from home when that's required. And then when that's done, we've got to break all of that down and then make sure that all the documents are returned, because if it's classified information, it belongs to the government. And once you've had a classification, once you have some type of a clearance for handling classified information, you have to always handle classified information appropriately, even if you don't have a clearance, right? So now that you know what you're supposed to do, it's incumbent upon you to always do that, even after the classification has been revoked. And then you've got to make sure that the documents that you have can be securely held regardless.
So let's talk about that, because as you were mentioning, it's likely that there's going to be, a variety of evidence that they retrieve from the home and the office, perhaps
Yes.
physical documents, or perhaps on servers. Let's say the server was secure. Would that be considered a breach?
It would be, for classified information is not really supposed to be removed from the information facility that it's on. So you take somebody like a director of the FBI, he usually is going to work. He's going to work from home because he may have to sign documents or something along those lines. So they have put in place ability for him to be able to communicate at home. Right. And so then he'll be able to look at the documents that need to be, signed, make whatever decisions, signatures he needs to do, and then approve whatever needs to be approved going forward. So this is probably a normal process for that role. Now, when you go past that, the computers themselves, I think that's really tricky because all classified information needs to be marked and securely handled. And so at no time would it be appropriate to use an unclassified computer to send any portions of classified materials to anyone at any time.
Do you think that, the regularity that these situations happen would surprise the public? Is this common? Because we've been hearing, high level authorities taking classified documents and keeping them. Does this happen more often than the public is aware of?
I think it does. Again, these are people who are probably dealing with classified information every day and not always in the office. So I want to set that for your audience so that they know that in a normal process that some of this is going to be handled outside of the office. And there are ways for you to carry classified information outside of a sensitive compartmented information facility, a SCIF. You can do that. There's ways to do it. It's got to be, wrapped and labeled, and, you've got to be able to have an authority to carry it yourself. So handling classified information is something that we all get very, very comfortable with if we have to deal with it. So I think the part that surprises people, or would surprise people, is that we think of the tactical value of intelligence, but there's also strategic value for that intelligence as well. So these folks are helping the president make determinations as to what things need to be done, and it's not as simple and easy as we would like to think that it is. For example, there may be reporting in a particular country of something that's going on in that country that would lead the president to decide that he or she's going to want to use tariffs or some other tool to destabilize that position, so that when the government goes to negotiate later on, that there's an advantage that the government will have. So these things can be very, very nuanced as to how we use those things to make sure that the United States retains an advantage in every single engagement that it has.
As we look ahead, when might the public learn a little bit more, and what do the next steps look like for an investigation such as this?
Okay, so next steps for an investigation such as this, okay, search warrant is going to be returned back to the judge, and then the information is going to be provided. The FBI is going to look at that. We'll determine whether or not there is a violation there for, for an arrest. And if the person is going to be charged. Typically, what's happened in the past is that the person, like somebody like Sandy Berger, said, "Hey, yeah, I did it. I did something wrong," and then that case will plead out, and then a judge will make that determination as to what the sentence is going to be. So that's something that I would expect to see in this particular instance. We might not know more if the investigation does not immediately lead to some type of a criminal complaint that gets filed. Then we may not know more. This is just probable cause that there's that information is located in a place where it shouldn't be, and that the FBI needs to go and get it. And then we need to look at the fact pattern to determine whether or not further criminal action is warranted.
All right. Well, we will see how all of this unfolds. Miguel, as always, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. And I did want to share this from the Associated Press, as we were mentioning, but the FBI searches the home of ex-Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton as part of classified documents investigation. That is according to an AP source right there.